How can the Commodores bounce back this weekend?
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. On today's episode, we look at Vandy's keys to success. How can they bounce back, you ask? Well, here we go. This is going to be, and after last weekend, I'm fully aware this is crazy talk, but they can and do have a chance to bounce back. But some specific things are going to happen if that's going to be the case. All right. So after thinking about it, after a good week of shows, a good focused week of practice, here's 3 keys that I think sum up what Vandy needs to do this weekend and have a chance in bouncing back and being competitive and maybe even downright winning this game. So offensively, you have to run your offense, okay? What does that mean exactly? Well, that means stay on schedule. Don't panic. I think too much of what happened is they got off schedule. They got some negative plays against Georgia State, and they kind of panicked and got away from what makes them great. And I don't think they fully realized that, and I don't think they fully came out of that until it was too late because they had chances. They had opportunities. They had some pretty decent field position at times. They had opportunities to really just kind of dig into their offense and just take the game over. They never really did. What Vandy's good at is the option run attack, okay? And everything that they do is built off of that. And if they just stay true to their identity, I think they have a chance at really just kind of making some noise a little bit. And I think they can control the clock. I think they can put pressure on Missouri's defense, and I think they can do some things. I think they have a chance of opening up some things. I think if they force some of Missouri's key defenders to be put in conflict, it neutralizes them. That's the point of the option game. They add some RPO flair to it, some play action boot flair to it. And then, of course, I think they're going to have some chances for a few shot plays, and they may hit on them because Missouri's defense is very aggressive. They play downhill very fast, especially against the run. They're going to have a chance. So if they don't panic, which I think that was part of what happened last week, I think if they don't panic, then they have a chance of really kind of settling it in and making this game interesting. So offensively, stay ahead of the chains, win first down, get yourself in 2nd and 5. Don't get senseless penalties. Play a very clean brand of football. I think that's just kind of what you kind of have to look for there. So again, trust what you're doing, and trust what you're doing is the right thing because offensive coordinators are guilty of this. I was just as bad. I was just as guilty of this. And it is panicking, trying to do too much down the field, getting into a pass happy mode because you feel like you have to, because you feel like the defense is closing in on you when they're really not. And this is going to be an interesting game plan to see what Jerry Kill does, because when you watch Missouri against Boston College, I thought Boston College had a really good offensive game plan. Aside from a few turnovers, I think they really had a chance to win that game outright. And had they not given the ball away 2 times on really bad errant throws, they could have really did some damage to Missouri's defense because they had them guessing, they had them running, they had run lanes, they had some really nice throws, really nice passing plays in there, and I thought they had a really good game plan. They didn't execute it as well as they probably wanted to, but then again, Missouri's defense also made some plays for themselves, and they really kind of helped themselves in that regard. So we'll see if Jerry Kill and Tim Beck and the offensive staff, we'll see kind of what they garner from the first 2 weeks of the season for Vandy's offense. Like, hey, what worked? Do a little self-scouting. Like, hey, what's good? Virginia Tech's defense is very similar, not quite as good as Missouri's, but their defense is very similar in style. And I think being able to take advantage of that by attacking the edges, putting defenders in conflict will really help them with their confidence. It'll really help them move the ball, and likewise probably help them to put a few points across the board. So they've got to key in on their playmakers, Cole Spence and Eli Stowers. Hopefully they can both go. They're both questionable right now. Hopefully they can both go. And if they can both go, those are two weapons that in this offense, if you feed those guys, they're going to be really, really good. They're going to eat up some space. Cole Spence is going to take up some space in the middle, short to intermediate in the pass game. Eli Stowers is very dynamic. You got him on trick plays because he used to play quarterback. He's also kind of a matchup nightmare for linebackers and safeties. He's kind of a bigger wide receiver that plays tight end, that can line up all over the field, put him in motion, things like that. This is going to be something that could be a bit of a problem for Missouri if he's able to go, and he's able to go full tilt. Secondly, the way to get this offense to execute, right? So not panicking, not calling a million pass plays because you feel like you have to, especially if you're behind the sticks. Understand that punting is not bad unless you're doing it after every series, but punting is not bad. Ending every series with a kick is very much not bad because you can you have a stake and you have a little bit of control in field position. But in order to make this offense explosive, I think in order to put Missouri on their heels a little bit, and also in order to get Missouri to show their cards, is to pre-snap motions, formations, things like that, shifts, things that get Missouri's defenders guessing and get them to have to adjust and force them to adjust so that they show their hand. So the jet motion with we used to call it satellite because it's like the orbit motion where you go behind, but it's kind of like jet. The satellite is made to look like jet, and then he breaks it back around and goes in orbit motion right back where he came from. So you call it satellite because it's like orbit, but it's coming back where he is, returning back where he came from. So that kind of thing, where you have options in the RPO game, they can do things like that. They can move, they can shift formations, field the boundary, manipulate the strength of the formations. All of that stuff can really put Vandy at a distinct advantage because they get numbers, they get defenders identifying where they are, they get people, they get coverages identified by moving people around. If they drop guys, if they move guys with the motion guys, they're in man. If they're in zone, they're going to, with you motion some of those fast guys, they're going to have to reveal their zones because, if they don't, fast guy might have a chance to burn that zone. So if they're playing match quarters, they're going to have to reveal who they're keying in on. If you spread them out and you move people around, it forces them kind of into revealing that, stacking formations, bunches, things like that, where you can mix up who, you change who number one is. And by when I say change number one, you change 1, 2, and 3. If it's like a 3-by-1 bunch, as they all break out of the formation, you establish a new number one, and sometimes that confuses the corner because sometimes they identify with players and not positions. So like they might identify number one as the outside receiver. Well, he goes in, cornerback goes in with him, somebody replaces, and now the guy that's guarding the new number one can't get out there. And next thing you know, you've got a big play. So things like that to kind of throw the defense for a loop, get them frustrated, get them on their heels. those are the things that you need to do offensively to build confidence, to establish drives, and eventually to put points up on the board. So just run your offense. Your offense is great. You have great pre-snap movement. You have great schemes that put defenders in conflict, and you have players that believe in that. And that makes up for a lot of things, that makes up for a lot of talent deficiencies that you have on paper because these guys can play at a high level if they're confident within the scheme. So don't panic. Just don't panic. So it's all about getting them on their heels. And, making Missouri one-dimensional defensively is also very important. I'm going to tell you how they're going to do that next. All right, Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. So sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Got gold, baby. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosure, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. All right, welcome back. Locked On Vandy, your team every day. Thanks for making us part of your everyday lineup. Thanks for making us your first listen every day as well. Thank you to the everydayers. Thank you to the double dayers. Thank you to whoever's listening. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the comments. They are very, very interesting. And I love reading them. So talking about keys to victory, because this is a chance for Vanderbilt to bounce back. Okay. And how can they bounce back? Well, these are some of the things that if they do these things, they have a chance to bounce back. Now, I'm all for them bouncing back. Okay. I know there's a lot of people that have jumped off the train and let them. There's going to be people that jump. There's people that have already jumped. There's people that are standing on the ledge going, okay, I'm going to jump off this train now. It's kind of stopped and I can get off and be safe. And, I can say, yeah, I was not on that train. But then once Vandy starts having success, that train gets hard to jump on. So you might as well just stay on that train, see where it goes, wherever it goes, it's going to go. And so you can roll with that, and it's something that you can enjoy. Just sit back and enjoy the ride, because it's going to take you somewhere. I don't know where. Could be very disappointing. Could be very exciting. Could be a little bit of both. Could be, it's going to be an interesting season. And I think Vandy has a chance to really bounce back this week if they do these certain things. So here's some keys, right? We talked about the offense. Run your offense. Stay on schedule. Don't panic. All that good stuff, right? Do your thing, okay? But defensively, you have to, if you're going to have a chance, because Missouri has a very, very explosive offense. Okay, we know this. Nate Noel, Theo Weiss, Luther Burden, and then you have Brady Cook as the trigger man. He is he's playing quarterback. He's distributing the ball all to all these people. It's a very explosive operation. All right, but you have to make Missouri's offense one-dimensional. If you're going to have a chance, you've got to make them one-dimensional, because if they're one-dimensional, guess what? They're predictable. They will show you their cards. They will. You'll be able to defend better, because if you can make them one-dimensional, whether it's you shut down their pass game and all they can do is run, you can load up on the run and eventually limit that, because if you become one-dimensional, you become no-dimensional, because you can't really get things going, because you can force them to do certain things, right? You can load the box, you can constrict the field and really stop the run game because they're not really passing the ball that well. But we all know that Missouri's a really good passing team. So That's going to be a tough task. But I think, to me, whatever you can do to make them one-dimensional is going to be your best bet. And to me, and I've said this on previous episodes, but to me, that's got to be stopping their run game, because they love running off tackle. They love running stretch zone. They love attacking the edge. And they can do that. And they do that well with Noel and that stable of running backs. But if you can stop that at the point of attack, you have a chance now to shut down most of their offense and really what sets them up to be able to throw the ball down the field to Luther Burden and Theo Weiss. What they're able to do on sprint outs and bootlegs and things like that. You can shut all of that down. You can limit the damage and you can limit the explosive plays just by shutting down their run game. If you make it difficult for them to run, it's going to be tough for them to protect, because you got Linus Zunk, you got a DSD Cosmo, you've got Glenn Seabrooks pushing the pocket from in the inside. You've got some pass rushers. You're going to be without Corday Sidnor. He's probably questionable, and even then, if he's going to be limited. So you're going to have him a little bit. Zaylen Wood is out. He was a big force in that Virginia Tech game. He's out. So you're not going to have him. He's not going to be available. So you've got to figure out ways to be able to, A, shut down the run game, and then B, once you do that, in order to limit the pass game, you're going to have to put heat on Brady Cook. And that's get him off a spot, hit him, get him out of rhythm. Don't let him just catch and throw, because Luther Burden's pretty slick. I've said this a million times. He's the best receiver. He's arguably the best receiver in college football. I would put him in the conversation. I don't know necessarily who the best is, but Luther Burden's got to be in that conversation. If he's not, it's not the right conversation. But in order to limit him, you can't really you can't really double him that much. You can bracket over the top and limit him deep, limit him vertically. But he's going to catch a slant and he's going to make a move and he's going to get big yardage, right? He's going to catch something short and make something big out of it. So like you can't take away everything, but if you make him earn those yards, it really impedes that progress. And by impeding that progress, you get chances and chances and chances to stay in this ball game. Because if you can provide opportunities for your offense to get the ball, not on a kickoff return, not via kickoff return, but via punt return, then you have done yourself some favors, right? If Missouri gets into the red zone, if you can hold them to 3 instead of 6, you've done well, right? If you can limit their trips into the red zone, you've done well. And all that's gonna take place because you're going to shut down the run game first. First order business. Do not let them run on you. Now, that's a big improvement over Georgia State. Georgia State was able to run at will. They were able to run outside zone too. That's a problem. Hopefully they recognize that problem and hopefully they're fixing that problem, because if they don't fix that problem, it's going to be a long day. So that's why it's a key. That's why it's a major key. They have to do that. They have to make the defense, as a defense, they have to make Missouri's offense one-dimensional. And you do that by taking away the run game first, because that opens you up to be able to defend the pass, to be able to get pressure on Brady Cook, to be able to then have a chance at some takeaways, whether it's a strip sack or whether it's an interception or turnover on downs or whatever the case may be. You have a chance to really affect Brady Cook. And by doing that, you give yourself chances to win. And so this defense is going to have to come through big time, like they did against Virginia Tech. It was a weird game plan against Georgia State. I felt like they were trying to hide something. I felt like they were very vanilla, not as much pressure. And I know Clark Lee's going to say a 4-man pressure was working. It was the right call. But let's be honest. They were getting gashed in the run game. They were given way too much time back there. when they did bring heat, and I don't think that, you don't have to bring six guys every single snap, but like you got to give the illusion. You got to make the offense think about it. You got to give them something to think about over there, right? You've got to, if you bring those guys and you bring pressure fairly consistently, that offense is going to be a little bit on their heels. They're going to be a little bit hesitant to really open up because they know they're susceptible to a big blitz, or they feel like they're leaving themselves wide open for whatever. So anyway, make them one-dimensional. Take away the run game first, limit the pass game by getting pressure on Brady Cook, and you will have a chance. You'll have a chance. Okay? So it's all about control, though, right? It's all about controlling the field. It's all about controlling the clock. It's all about control. Okay? We're going to talk about that, and I'm going to give you some picks for the weekend. That's going to happen next. eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. This episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's number one sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you now through September 22nd, which is in a couple days. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. So just visit FanDuel.com, download America's number one sports book. All right, welcome back. We are wrapping up the show here on the Locked On Vandy podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen. Make sure you check out Locked On SEC as your second listen of the day. It's a great show. Stephen Willis does a great job on Locked On Ole Miss. You can check that out. And Zach Blackerby, my guy, Locked On Auburn, he does a phenomenal job as well. So check them all out, man. Check out the whole library of Locked On SEC shows, right? But I'm glad you make me your first listen. But our keys to victory, man, the last thing they have to do, and I think if the first two things are hitting, I think number 3 will be easy to do. Okay. But I think it's important to understand that, they have to be able to control the field position. They have to also be able to control the clock. Okay. So time of possession is important because if they can control the clock, another way to make Missouri's offense less potent is to keep them on the sideline. Okay. Keep them on the sideline. And it's really difficult for them for Luther Burden to go off if he's standing on the sideline. He may go off in a different way at that point. But if you control the clock, it makes it difficult, right? Because they have limited time. Now maybe their game plan is constricted. Maybe they have to have a little more sense of urgency than they wanted. And they do things uncharacteristic because of, hey, we may not get this ball back, right? So that's one thing that you can do to really put pressure on Missouri. And anytime teams get stressed out or pressured or whatever, a lot of teams, college teams especially, a lot of teams will falter under that pressure. A lot of teams don't really know what to do with that. So it's interesting to know that, teams that win the time of possession, if you can, some teams don't panic. Some teams just know, hey, we got limited possessions this game. We're going to make the most of it. And we're just going to run our offense, right? But some teams, they panic. So I, for one, would like to find out what Missouri will do in that situation if they know that they have limited possession. So you have to control the clock. Also, field position. Okay, if you're going to give the ball back to them and you want them to earn their points, right? And by earn their points, they have to really sustain a really nice drive on you. You should pin them deep. You should make sure that they have to drive the ball 80 plus yards every single time they touch it, or most of the time they touch it. So if you can get yourself in good field position offensively and maintain that and be able to, if you get pinned deep, be able to get a few first downs and be able to flip the field, that's going to be important because, again, you make them earn it every single series. That's not sustainable, right? Like you're in for a low scoring brawl, and that's what kind of Vandy wants. They want an ugly, low scoring, muck it up type game, right? That favors the Commodores. So if you can control the field position, you have a really good shot at winning this game. So you make things easy for yourself by doing that, and you make them have to earn it. And then if they earn it, they earn it. And that's on them, and they have a chance to really kind of do that. So they have to earn it. That's your mindset. If they want it, they got to come earn it, right? They got to come get it. So that's kind of where we're at on there. So to recap, run your offense, stay on schedule, don't panic. All right, do your thing. You're good. Trust yourself. Make Missouri's offense one-dimensional, right? And then control the field position, control the clock, because it's hard for Missouri to score when they're not on the field. And if they do score, make them earn it. All right, make them earn it. So that's your keys to the game. I think if these three things can happen, I think Vandy has a really good shot at it. Okay, so you want some Saturday selections before we get into this? Before we get into the weekend? Well, here you go. Here's a few picks. I was going through some things on FanDuel. I was going through some lines, and there's a decent amount of lines that I like. All right, but I do like Vandy plus 20 because I think it's a lot of points. And I think the way Vandy plays when they're playing good, they're going to be spirited, first of all, because that's an embarrassing loss they took last week, and they don't want to go out like that. So they're going to be spirited. They're going to play with even more passion and focus and all that stuff, right? So I like Vandy plus 20 there. That's going to be an interesting cover. I think, do I think they're going to win? I don't know, but I at least like the points. They have a shot at it, right? They always have a shot. I like Florida -6. They played Mississippi State. Florida is not good, but Mississippi State is 100 times worse, right? This is going to be an ugly, ugly game, but I think Florida's going to run. I think Florida's going to run all over Mississippi State. All right. This is for Florida. This is just what the doctor ordered, right? This is kind of one of those rehab type games where you just kind of get back on track there. And Mississippi State is. I know Vandy lost to Georgia State last week, but good God, Mississippi State got thrashed by Toledo. Just keep that in mind. They got thrashed by Toledo, and now they got to go to play Florida. So they get Florida. It's not going to be fun for them. I think it's a home game at least, but still, it's not going to be fun for them. Florida -6. And then speaking of a team that has been struggling, they should have lost to South Carolina last week. But that's LSU. But they're hosting UCLA. And, well, UCLA is bad, really bad. LSU's 21.5-point favorites. Initially, I didn't love that. But then when I kind of looked at UCLA and what they've done, I now like that. And I vowed to never pick, after last week, I vowed to never pick LSU. I'm going to amend that. For at least one, push that for one more week. I'm not going to amend it. I'm going to push it for one more week. When they start conference play, so long, right? Unless they're playing Mississippi State. So long, LSU. But I like LSU 21.5, minus 21.5. I like them there. That's going to be a fun bet there. So some SEC lines that I think are very interesting. But Vandy plus 20 in their SEC opener versus Missouri. I like Florida minus 6 against Mississippi State, and LSU minus 21.5 hosting UCLA. So those are my picks. And that's all I got for you guys today. So enjoy the game. It's going to be a bounce back affair. It's going to be something that, I think Missouri can't overlook this game where they're going to get themselves in trouble. But it's going to be a very interesting game, very interesting season. So stay tuned, buckle up. I think it's going to be a heck of a ride. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Behave yourselves. Have a great weekend. If you're traveling to Missouri, be safe. Otherwise, anchor down and have a great weekend.